All right, live. Live, live, live. Here we go. Let me bring you up here. And, yeah. Hang on. We'll get there. Good. Okay. So I've got this 394 here to finalize. And, hi Dennis and Travis. Hey guys. During lunch. Lunch. Hey James. So I got this 394 here that I want to finalize, but trying to, I was like, oh, what do I do? Well, I think I want to steal some parts from this other one, and there's a very good reason. So you'll see here in just a minute. I know the guys were on to me last night. You know, don't take apart a good running saw. Yeah, but I have my reasons. So this saw over here, this 394, is I think the first 394 that I had ported by somebody else. Yeah, and I'm happy with the power. That's not the problem. But I am uncertain with a number of other things here, so we need to investigate. This needs investigation anyway, you know? It just does. So I'm gonna pull this off here and get parts from this so that we can finalize this. And then I'm going to show you what exactly I'm upset about on this one. Because this was supposed to be a 394 that was pretty nice. And it's not. No, it's just not. So we're going to get there. Hang on. I didn't notice this. I actually have... I'll show you something interesting here in just a minute. If you're doing 394s, 394s have these springs here for the air filter, but on the high top, you don't need that. You don't need the springs, because you just have the high top filter which comes through here. Anyway, so yeah, so this was not put together by me. This was put together by somebody else, and hey, Craig, do I see some interesting issues, Craig? So this was supposed to be assembled proper. It just wasn't, mainly because you'll notice that there's a piece of case missing here. So that doesn't thrill me. The other thing that doesn't really thrill me, you know, these are actually common issues. You know, it's actually a common thing to have the case busted out there. Well, I don't want a common saw. I want something that's, you know, that's complete. I don't want something that's all busted up, you know. If I'm going to be hanging saws up, I want them to be complete. Here, let me take this off. So, you know, aftermarket or not, doesn't matter to me. I just want it to be complete, darn it, you know. Don't like saws that aren't complete. So the thing is, I really have to go through this myself and check and see what is not complete about this, because I didn't even hardly notice that. That was, you know, something that's not necessarily obvious to a lot of people. But here's another thing that's not obvious. It's under here. Let's see, can you guys see that? Yeah. It's missing the AV mount right here. And this, now I'm looking at it, this is the wrong AV mount. That's the wrong AV mount. Does it work? Yeah. But it's not correct. Now, also, a couple of screws for limiters. Are those the correct screws? No, they're not. So, you know, you keep going through this, and the further you get, you say, you know what? You can make compromises in some places. I understand that. But you've got a case that's busted over here, and you've got a case that's busted here, not allowing for an AV mount. I mean, you could say, okay, well, that AV mount is just a rubber mount. It's not the right one, but you can compromise there, I guess. But this AV mount now doesn't exist. I can't even put that on. So either I have to have this case welded, or I need a new case. And you know what? I think the saw is powerful enough to warrant a new set of cases. I think it is, you know? So I think I'm going to get a new set of cases for this thing. Which means I got to tear this all apart. But what we'll do, you know, to start with here is cannibalize this. Yeah, we'll just cannibalize this here. And that way we can finish the other one. And then I can, which will be for sale. The other one will be for sale. This one I will effectively cannibalize, but put back together on my own time. You know? Thoughts, comments, anything? I have a sneaky suspicion that the more I go through this, the more upset I'm going to be. But Dave Lee. Does Pharmatech have cases? No. The 394, 395 is actually not really well supported in the aftermarket. What's the weight when fully assembled? I don't know. Craig, there are no 394, getting back to the aftermarket argument, there are no 394 aftermarket cylinders. They're only OEM cylinders for 394. 395, of course, does have aftermarket heads. But if you have a 394, it is indeed an OEM head. James just finished the 660. Awesome. Awesome. So, I don't know what the weight is. We can explore that later. Reasonable question. I don't have a good scale. I mean, I don't have a good scale. I saw somebody, there was a YouTube video, somebody weighing these, so. Just recently, I forget who it was. Kenneth, wait for 70.4. Are you guessing? Sounds right. That's believable. I actually imagine that it'd be heavier than that, but whatever. Awesome. That's not coming out great. Don't think that's an OEM bolt. Fantastic. Now, I don't even remember how I did this before. The issue is the lower ones go into bushings of some kind, and if they slip for whatever reason, then you ain't getting it out. Now I need to get in here somehow and hold that down or whatever to prevent it from turning. And I forget how I did that before. Let's take the starter cover off. I can get a wrench in there to hold down that, because there's a square piece there. If I can get a little wrench in there to hold that down, that'd be good. Good. Just don't remember. It's a square piece. I just got to capture it and prevent it from spinning. I got it. Nice. Okay. Put these screws back so they don't get lost. I may end up changing those out later. yeah, I remember. These are not the correct screws to hold in the air horn. Hey, Georgie. Wipe the camera off with a rag. Seems soiled. Okay. Hang on. Did that help? I think that's better. Gotcha. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to pull out the air horn, and for those of you that don't know, these air horns are no longer made, and they are quite valuable. The reason is because the 395 air horns, which are made, are M4 instead of M5 for the screws. So the M4 screws fit through it, the M5s don't. Yeah, so anyway. Also, the 394 choke levers are no longer made either. So, quite the prize if you do find them. A little bit of gas left. I ran this saw at the get-together not too terribly long ago. Nothing wrong with the line. That's good. Some positive news. Alright, I can pull the gas line off. And then, let's see here. Pull this gray piece and the blue piece out. There we go. Just pops out. You can break these, so do be careful with the this is the idle screw, effectively. I'm actually just take these pieces and throw them right in here, because these are fine. Anything else that needed cannibalizing from this? No, but right, I'm probably going to be splitting the cases here because I need the crank. Guess I could just get another crank. whatever. What do you guys want me to do? You want me to pull the rest of this apart, or should we finish the other one first? What do you want to do? Go for it. What? Pull this one apart. Pull it apart. You want to finish the other one or pull it apart? James says pull apart. Split it. Okay. All right. You guys, the majority has spoken here. Well, the majority being Craig, of course, but okay. So let's pull that out. Yes, I do. Pull my switch out. Well, that's not good. I guess aftermarket switches do that. Oh. Whoops. My bad. Forgot to take the screw out. Oops. That's okay. I think I just put a new switch in. Great. Good job, Matt. If there's anybody watching that's new, this is not a cooking show. I make mistakes. I do it in real time. As you'll see from my other videos, I make mistakes. Also, I happen to be, editing those. But if we're doing it live, there are mistakes live. I waste money. I'm an idiot sometimes. These are from the mounts. Definitely not perfect. I most definitely do not get this right all the time. Actually, so in order to really pull this part off, I need to pull the head. And in order to do that, I got to pull the muffler bolts out here. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to find here. Absolutely no idea. I'll tell you, that's one open muffler, though. I guess he didn't open it up anymore, just anywhere else, just there. Whatever. Alright, now we gotta see if we can get the cylinder head bolts out. Okay. Those came out a little bit on the easy side. I don't know whether this was a gasket delete or what. Ooh, it's a pop-up. That I didn't know. No gasket here. What is that? It is a smooth ground head, I'll tell you what. Feel good about using my 32 40 to 1, as this is wet in here. You can see that. I don't think the head was machined, but the grinding does look quite nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's put that aside. One, two, three, four. Okay. Talk to me, Goose. I gotta find out what's going on with this here. Is this gasket? Yes, it is. Is it an OEM gasket? I don't think so. Made in Mexico. It's a Mexican gasket. Where did he get a Mexican gasket? Made in Mexico. Do you see that? You see that? It's a mystery. So, as far as I'm concerned, the crucial thing, like for me to be able to put this thing back together, is the thickness. If it's 20 thousandths gasket, then I can just use the regular, you know, the OEM gasket that I have. Now, some of this got divided in half, like over here, I mean, clearly no go, but this stuff over here looks like it's thick. Let's see. 15 thousandths. Okay. Let's try an original gasket if I have one. Better. Husqvarna Group, made in Brazil. I'm willing to bet the original gasket, the OEM gasket, is about 20 thousandths thick. And before you say, well, you know, you measured a thinned out section, no, I did not. Victor writes, there's no made in Mexico on here, I don't think. 19 thousandths. So if I use the OEM gasket, I'm going to be adding an extra 5 thousandths to squish. Now, that's not the end of the world. Okay. There's a lot of oil in here. It's nice and wet. Very nice. This should come off now. Oh, gotta do that first. Pull the piston. Let's pull the piston. Let's do that. Isn't this interesting? You can take something apart and see how somebody built it. For better, for worse, you know. Out. This looks perfectly fine. A few minor scratches, but this is all oiled up nicely. I'm going to throw this right into a plastic bag. With the wrist pin and the pin bearing. Look how oily that is. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, let's go here. Now I run this wire through this hole instead of through here. I think this is, here, hang on. A lot of people run the wire through here, and that's how it's done stock. I think it's stupid. I really just disagree with that. So I actually put a hole, and I'll show you in a minute. I put a hole in the bottom of the carburetor base and run it up and through there. Because what happens is these things get crushed if they go through there. Hey, David. I'm taking apart a saw that was built for me. Yeah, another three. Well, this is. I need to finish up the 394 that was on the bench here, and I need to cannibalize one. And I've been thinking about pulling this one apart anyway because this was built for me, and I'm kind of upset as to how it was built. So I figured I'd pull it apart and see what actually is in here. This is an exceptionally potent 394, but it's got issues. So I really think at this point, I think I'm just going to get another case for it. Another set of cases. Right, a new set of crankcases. Because that would be good. An OEM coil. That off. I'm going to pop the washer off here. Give me a little more space. Get my PB blaster. Have I mentioned 394s are a pain to break loose? It ain't coming. Maybe we'll come back to that. Yeah, I know you can use a number of things you can do. My positioning screws, I'm not going to use those because they're not the right screws. And then this screw over here, actually, just pull out this one here. So now what we have to do is we have to go back over here because it's these bushings that got messed up in the beginning, or rather this one. So we can mess with that. Okay. Seems intact otherwise. Now, give this a few more whacks. If it doesn't work, then go to plan B. There we go. Just like Christmas. Okay, so here's where we start to be able to see the issues with the case, with the crankcase. Obviously, this is broken. Is that crucial? Probably not, but you know. If you're putting together a nice saw, put together a nice saw. Put the wood handle in there. Need to break off the clutch. Cool. Oh, the washer's there. That's good. I know. Split it. Split it. I know. I know. Well, that's got to be fixed too, I guess. I don't know. Underestimated the amount of junk that was in here. Great. The screw was crap from the beginning, too. Short screw. So this is a long screw. I believe this is 60 millimeters. You have got to get it right for that spot. If you long or short, it's not going to work. Short is particular bad. Because you strip it out if it's too short. What the? Oh, this is bent. Great. It's like oblong in shape. It's lovely. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna. I think that's shot. I'm not gonna try to bother with that anymore. Dave, yeah, I know. Everybody bothers me about the workbench. This, believe it or not, this is bigger than I had. Should have seen what I used to have. Don't worry, we'll split it. Well, actually, here's the question. I can split it, obviously. But does anybody want it? 50 bucks. I'll ship you this case. I'm going to take the oiler out, but basically the seals are good. Best I can tell. The seals are good. Just got a couple of broken parts here. It does work without the broken. I just don't want it. So 50 bucks. I ship you the case. Anybody interested? Going once, going twice. Anybody interested? Because I can split it, but I don't know. Nobody's interested. Just have to take apart the oiler. This darn thing is dirty. Was the case cut down? No, it was not. At least, not that I can tell. Most people don't cut down the cases. I don't normally see people do what I do with the Bridgeport. Really, the only point in me splitting the case right now is if I want to retrieve the crank, which I don't necessarily need to do. I can pick another one up on eBay without too much trouble. I don't think that would be a problem. Because I can just get another set of crankcases from HL Supply. And the crank alone is at least 30 bucks. So if somebody wants this whole thing, 50 bucks shipped. Anybody? 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 Yeah, I'm going to let you guys stew on that for a minute, and I'm going to finish up the other 394. How's that? Yeah, well, ideally, it would be nice to weld in a piece there if you had a really crappy case but had an intact arch. Weld an arch in there and weld your AV mount on, and then you have a usable case, or at least my opinion, a usable case. It definitely ran as it was, but if I'm building a nicer saw, that's not the set of cases I'd use, Hey, Brandon. Hey, Brandon, I got a 394 case here. It's got a couple of breaks on it. 50 bucks shipped. Anybody? I'm going to put this down for the moment. You guys can stew over that. We can get the other thing done. Yep, $50 shipped. Case is yours if you want it. I think the bearings and the seals are good. No, $50 shipped. Assuming you're in the USA, of course. The 4th cylinder bolt is still on the flange of the jug. It was, but they're all here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good eyes, though, Dave. Yeah, some of you guys have really eagle eyes on some of this stuff, which is good because one day I was about to lose my mind, and somebody found my Husky 350 gasket, which was sitting right there, but I was going to lose my mind. Ha, a WJ70. I wonder, maybe I put a different carburetor in that thing. Just a heck of it.
I think I need to take a nap.
This can go over there too. Okay, now I can put this over here and start finishing this up. Middle of the head, 10 thousandths over. Well, when we get the new one, I'll see if I need to cut it or not. I might need to cut it. If I cut it, I cut it. David, how much if you cut the case? $50 for me to cut the case if you want. I don't know if that case is worth it though, you know? Everybody's got their own idea of what's worth it and what's not, so whatever. Right, so this goes through here. Oh, you're kidding me. This is not a 394 air horn. This is a 395 air horn that's been bored out. So today just came to a screeching halt. Funny, I didn't even, I figured when I tore the other one down, I wouldn't even have, you know, I'd have a 394 air horn. Nope, this one's modded. It's not what I want. It's not what I want. That sucks. That really is upsetting. Will it work? Yes. Is it kind of crappy? Yeah, it's kind of crappy. It's crappy. All right, so the difference is very simple. Actually, let me see if I can get a brand new one. I'm coming. Pretty sure I had. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at this. So these are both effectively the same. This is a brand new 395 high top air horn. I don't think the 395s came in low top. High top is simple. It means a fairly high top on your air filter cover, and this allows for this type of filter. Okay. I'll try to get closer in 1 second. Yes, I'll try to get closer. The difference being the old school 394s had these springs in them and used these with a much lower profile top. Okay. So, and some of them had wide springs, and some of them had narrower springs. I think the really older ones had narrower springs. This is the same filter used in a 262XP, oddly enough, but it also goes to this 394. So you can convert it to high top, if you want. If you don't want to use this filter, which is, by the way, cheaper. If you don't want to use that filter, you want to use the high top. You need a high top air horn. That's basically all that you need, is a high top air horn and the filter. But keep in mind, these are identical. Okay, this one's modified, this one's not. But this is a 394 carburetor bolt, and it doesn't fit. Is that a little better? There we go. So 394 carburetor bolts are not going to fit in here. So in order to work with this, you actually need to ream this out, which was done. It was reamed out. And the reason I know that this is still a 395 and not 394 is A, because of the sloppy reaming, but also because the 394 ones had a metal insert that went in here. On both of these, there was a metal insert, so a sleeve, if you will. The 394s, the 395 air horns, I don't think need metal sleeves because you're dealing with M4, much smaller bolts and much lower torque. But these, since they're M5, they probably had a metal sleeve in there for that purpose. Just a good guess. Anyway, if I'm doing a 394, I want the 394 high top air horn, but they're rare. They're not easy to come by. Am I buffering? I looks good here. Looks good there. Sorry, guys. Does that help? Stuff? I was. Okay. So, does that help understand the difference between 394 and 395 for the air horns? 394 came with high tops stock later on in the series. The early ones were all low top. I don't think high top was available early on in the series, like in the early 90s. So that's very frustrating to me. So I'll leave this with you guys and say I am going to attempt. So the surprise that I was going to have for you guys was I'm going to attempt to have 394 high top air horns 3D printed. So I'm going to see if I can do that because nobody else has done it. And yeah. And I think there's actually a very significant demand for them. So I'm going to see if I can do that. If I can get them 3D printed, then I'll actually put a 3D printed one. Either a 3D printed one on this saw or put the original on this saw and try the 3D printed one on that other saw that I just took apart. What about intake blocks? No, you don't want to 3D print intake blocks, or at least I wouldn't. And the reason is because they are, the 3D printing is heat labile. I mean, it all is based on heat, you know. So if you bolt something right to a cylinder head and it's not significantly reinforced, then that's no good, you know. And of course, what David's talking about is right here, the plastic intake block. It'd be nice to 3D print them, but the plastic intake blocks are actually quite robust. They are devices, and I just don't think that 3D printing them would work. There's lots of other stuff on here that could be 3D printed, but for right now, if I can just get an air horn that's 3D printed, and we can fiddle with that, I'm going to do that. So, unfortunately, my day has come to a screeching halt. I'm going to throw this out. I'm going to assume everybody doesn't want this, but I'm going to throw it out. It's junk to me. You don't want it. What'll happen is that if you crank down on those screws, it's going to start to split. Yeah, that's no good. Anyway, getting hard to find the blocks. Yeah, probably a good thing to stock up on 394 intake blocks. No problem, James. I'm sorry that we didn't get to finish this. This is disappointing to me. You know, finding that is not that far out of the realm of expectation. but you know, that's crappy. Put all this over here. And wait, now I gotta wait, you know. I gotta wait to get that stupid thing off my desk now. If I can get that other, if I can get this 394 intake designed and 3D printed, then we'll just throw that thing together and we'll be good, hopefully, you know. Questions, comments, anything else, guys? Because I think I'll call it a day on that note. Who wants that case? Brandon wants it. I know Brandon wants it. My wife wants me to shovel snow. Well, I'd like you to be able to shovel snow. Hopefully your ankle is better. If your ankle will let you, you know. Take care, Dave. Put away my stuff here and that'll be that. Thank you. Hopefully I have a new adjuster, chain adjuster, which I think I do. Find a chain adjuster. One that's not all wonky. Thanks, James. Yeah, you too. Stay warm. That. Just throw this gasket kit over here. Get that for that saw. Put that back together. Actually need one of these. AV mount. See, I've got plenty of pawls. Those do tend to get lost. Put that over there. Oh, found another AV mount. Might as well put in the correct AV mounts, right? For some reason I don't have a chain adjuster, so I'll have to put that on the list. That's just weird. light. Oh, that's a narrow high top. Chain adjuster, and a set of cases. Hopefully I'll be able to put that thing together. Really trying to clean up. All right. Anybody have any other questions before I split here? Go order some cases. Brandon, I'm gonna keep this case here just for you because I know you want it. Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot better, but now I've added to my trouble by adding a saw, you know. Oh well. I'm really excited to do the 3D printing stuff. If I can do that, boy, we can have a lot of fun. So, anyway, if nobody has anything else, then I'll say thank you very much, and everybody stay warm tonight. Certainly in the storm, we got a big storm coming in, and we're expected to get probably about 5 to 6 inches somewhere in there. So I'm not really not that worried about it. But some other people are getting hammered, so everybody be safe. And I will keep you posted if there's anything more exciting. So, thanks, guys. Have a great night. See ya.